Virginia, the story that helped create America. More than 4 centuries ago, Virginia's strategic location attracted people who were looking for something that could change the course of history. In 1607, 3 English ships entered the Chesapeake Bay carrying 104 settlers. They sailed up the James River, and there they established Jamestown. It became the first permanent English settlement in North America. But the story was far from easy. Disease, hunger, conflict, and a harsh environment pushed the settlement to the edge of collapse. During the winter of 1609 and 1610, Jamestown entered what became known as the starving time. Many settlers died, yet the colony survived. And then something happened that would transform Virginia forever: tobacco. John Rolfe introduced a variety of tobacco that could be successfully cultivated and sold in Europe. The crop became the economic engine of colonial Virginia. But Virginia's history was not simply a story of European settlement. Long before the English arrived, powerful indigenous societies had lived throughout the region. The Powhatan people controlled a large network of communities connected by the rivers and waterways of the Chesapeake. Their relationship with the English settlers would become one of the most complicated and consequential chapters in Virginia's early history. In 1619, another milestone changed the political story of America. Virginia's General Assembly met at Jamestown. It became the first representative legislative assembly in English North America. The idea of representative government would eventually become one of the foundations of the United States. More than a century later, Virginia stood at the center of another revolution. Figures such as George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and Patrick Henry emerged from Virginia's political world. Virginia became a powerful force in the American Revolution, and in 1781, the War for Independence reached its decisive moment at Yorktown. British General Charles Cornwallis surrendered to American and Allied forces. The American Revolution was effectively over. A new nation was born. But Virginia's influence did not end there. 8 US presidents would eventually be born in Virginia, more than any other state. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, and 4 more presidents who followed them. But America's greatest political achievement would eventually collide with one of its deepest contradictions: slavery. Virginia became one of the largest slaveholding states in the country, and the institution became deeply embedded in its economy and society. That conflict eventually helped push the nation towards civil war. When the Civil War began in 1861, Virginia became one of its most important battlegrounds. Richmond became the capital of the Confederacy. Across Virginia, armies fought some of the war's most important battles. And in April 1865, the conflict reached its historic conclusion at Appomattox Courthouse. There, Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant. The Civil War was coming to an end. Virginia had once been the birthplace of an English colony. It had helped create the United States. It had produced presidents, revolutionaries, soldiers, and statesmen. And it had witnessed the nation tear itself apart before beginning the long process of rebuilding. Today, the forts, battlefields, historic towns, and rivers of Virginia still carry the evidence of that extraordinary past. But Virginia's story did not end with the Civil War. In fact, the next chapter would transform Virginia from a historic American state into one of the country's most powerful economic centers. And that transformation begins with its people, its cities, and the communities that grew along its rivers and coast. You have been watching The States of America, a documentary series by the Shippers Media Network, presented by the Shippers USA, connecting people, places, trade, and stories across America and the world. This is the Shippers Media Network, and it's the Shippers USA.